Yeah, Basher was clutch in games yesterday for star passes and actually did score some points, I believe.
Likewise this morning.
Pat kind of stuck here in turn two. Ivy gonna leap over the infield. 4 points on the board for Wasatch. First points. Ivy back around again on another scoring trip. Gets knocked to the outside. Gonna get recycled a short distance. Basher still hung up with Orange Crusher and a couple other Wasatch blockers. Getting pulled all the way back up just to the exit of turn two. Meanwhile, Ivy on the way are already through on another scoring trip. 8 points on the jam so far. Another lap around as Basher gets recycled to the infield by 801 Orange Crusher once again.
Ivy gets knocked out to the inside and calls out the jam. 14 points picked up by Wasatch in this first jam. Wearing the star for Wasatch, it's Roller Bear up against Lethal Intention for the Aces.
Fullbacks on the line. Colonel Skirts, amazing offense, just real quick. Not a big move, but just enough for Roller Bear to get through. Lead Jammer, Wasatch.
Roller Bear just found that opening on the outside and went right through.
All right, Lethal Intention out of the pack also. Bear going to call it off. How many did she get? 3, says the Jammer referee.
Lining up, it's Elvira for Sin City up against Hit and Roll, Wasatch.
Full packs lined up, separated now all together on the back line. Both jammers headed for the center. Hit finding a hole. Makes the left turn at turn one. Lead jammer, Wasatch. Third jam in a row. Hit and roll quickly around, takes a hit, but manages to stay inbounds on the inside line. 4 points on the board already for Wasatch.
Sin City fighting some defensive moves there, holding Hit back. It does find the opening, makes it to another 4 points for Wasatch.
Inglorious Basher once again taking the star pass, forcing the call off there, doing a nice job of escaping before Hit and Roll can make another lap. But another good one for Wasatch, 8-0 on the jam, 25-0 on the board.
Towing the line, it's Furious George for Wasatch up against Gortisha Adams for the Sin City Aces.
Roller Bear, side to side to side to side, moving the blockers around. Made that space for herself on the inside line. Lead jammer Wasatch once again. Bear already around, but getting knocked out of bounds by 227 for Sin City. Oh, sorry, it's Furious George. George didn't play in the last game I called for Wasatch.
They kind of look the same.
They do have a very similar skating style.
Yep.
So, yes, but Furious George.
One's a bear, one's a monkey.
Right.
Easy confusion.
Fuzzy critters. Except this fuzzy critter skates really fast and is already around on another scoring trip for Wasatch.
Getting knocked around by the Sin City defense, but pushing forward anyway.
421, Gorticia Adams has the star here, looking for help from the pivot, but they can't connect. It gets knocked to the inside, going to get recycled. Looks like Shirley Temper going to the penalty box. Not sure what the call was on that. Looks like a low block potentially. Anyway, so Wasatch down a blocker, but off the rails, Colonel Skirts doing a pretty good job of holding them back. But now, as I say that, Gorticia Adams finally out, takes a shot at Furious George, going to go send George and herself flying in turn one. Gorticia Adams going to turn around, play a little bit of defense, force the call off George. Nice jam by Wasatch, 16-0 on that, brings us to 41-0 for Sin City.
Devil's Ivy lighting up for Wasatch up against Phoenix for Sin City. Phoenix still back at the jam line, dealing with Wasatch's impressive defense. Meanwhile, Ivy busts through first. Lead jammer doubles Ivy for Wasatch. Ivy finds opening on the outside, stays inbound despite a heavy hit from Sin City, and picks up 4 points.
Yeah, Sin City's not making this easy for Wasatch at all. They're knocking the jammers around pretty good, doing a very good job of getting like an initial catch on them, and then jammers just too agile, moving around pretty quickly on the pack and not being able to be held up too long. So Ivy sliding through once again, 4 more points on the board for Wasatch, and 4 more as we say it.
Big jam for Wasatch.
This wall here, I think that's Kills Orange and Lavender Menace at the back here. It is a rough one. And it's 5-5-5. Wormhole, the pivot, has the star here. Taking the star pass, got stuck at the back. Now you got 314 Bip joining the party here at the back.
Devil's Ivy heads to the penalty box.
Yeah, joined there by Orange Crusher as well. So Wasatch down a blocker, but still doing a great job of containing Wormhole. But Wormhole finally finds the space out, star on, and on a scoring trip. With Ivy having gone to the penalty box, no lead jammer, we're going to go to the Jam Timers watch, which is right now. Jam is down 57-0. The score now 16-point pickup for Ivy and Wasatch. Now, Sin City has Lethal Intention on the track with the star. Ivy standing in the penalty box, so less than 10 seconds on the penalty. But Sin City with an opportunity here for a quick moment of power jam to see if they can get out, get lead, get control of this next jam. Not quickly enough. It's Devil's Ivy coming straight out of the penalty box and slicing up the inside of turn 2. Lead jammer once again for Wasatch.
That was really fast.
Yeah, Ivy already around the track on a scoring trip, although meeting some pretty stiff resistance. Sin City putting up a 4-wall at the back and to force Ivy out and back. Got Krasnak, number 17 for Wasatch, holding down a bridge up there. Also Rails bridging out. Colonel Skirts and Shirley Temper up front. Now just Shirley Temper to beat. Ivy coming through around on another scoring trip, but Lethal does manage to get out. Ivy's going to call it off. So nice job by Lethal fighting the way out of that pack, getting out of there and forcing the call off, shutting down Ivy's scoring run.
Ivy still picks up 4. Ace is still locked out. Elvira towing the line for the Aces up against Roller Bear. Jamming for Wasatch. Roller Bear bounces around quite a bit, but does break through first. Lead jammer, Roller Bear. Roller Bear juking and diving, trying to find a way through. Sin City doing a good job of keeping Roller Bear from making any real progress.
Pack stretching out front and back a little bit. Orange Crusher bringing Elvira back here down to the bottom of turn 4. Got Roller Bear stretching out the front of the Sin City pack just then. Already now out of the pack and around on another scoring trip. And Elvira getting caught once again by Wasatch's Lavender Menace and Orange. And that tripod there led by Kills. Whistles going, helmet covers on the track, but now back in Elvira's hand. Elvira working against Orange, Bip, and Kills. Oh man, that is a rough wall.
Roller Bear does get recycled, but looks like Roller Bear finally finds the opening on the inside. Dances right around, and another 4 points for Wasatch.
Elvira once again getting knocked in the infield. Tries going to the out, but that is completely blocked up with Wasatch blockers. Roller Bear actually crashing into the same spot there, having to back off and head out. And Elvira going to follow Roller Bear through that pack, finally getting out on a scoring trip, going to force the call off.
Wasatch picking up 12 points at that jam. Wearing the star for Wasatch, it's hit and roll up against Cortisha Adams for Sin City. Hit and roll breaks through, does fall, but jumps right back up on her skates. Now on the scoring run, lead jammer, hit and roll.
Cortisha Adams stuck in the pack back here. Colonel Skirts knocking Gore out to the outside, drawn all the way back. But now back up in the corner. Not before, though. Hit and roll around once again for 4 more points on the board for Wasatch. Looks like we did have a star pass to the pivot.
I have to correct myself. Hit and roll is he.
Correct.
I apologize. I got that wrong.
Star pass to Sticky on Sin City, forcing the call off, only picking up 8 points. It is 81-0 favor of Wasatch.
From the line, it's Furious George up against Phoenix. Oh, and timeout. Team timeout requested by Sin City.
Yeah, Coach Dak going to go out there and call for the timeout, head back to the bench. I imagine he's got some encouragement to give to his skaters. So while the Witch's Brew Coffee Company may be done for the day, Empanadas 801 still going. I did go back and I had one yesterday. I had another one today. I got the vegan one today. It is delicious, and I highly recommend it. There's so many good things on the menu. She is running out of some stuff, so if you want empanadas, or get back there. Also, Must Be Nuts over there as well. This is one I have yet to visit for something, so maybe I will go do that at halftime of this game.
Got a couple of shout outs on the live chat. Sage's Plan says, let's go lethal and keep fighting Worm. So, y'all have some supporters out there.
Yeah, Sin City's had a lot of folks on the live stream over the weekend.
That's awesome. Furious George and Phoenix off the line now. Phoenix getting recycled by Bip.
That tripod back there, it's Orange Crusher, Bip, and Lavender Menace. Although we got a whistle there, I think we're going to be a blocker penalty against Lavender Menace. Breaking the wall up a little bit there, but Bip and Orange splitting up and then reconnecting up front.
Phoenix getting recycled again by Bip. All the way back. Almost to the jammer line.
That's actually like some really pretty two-person blocking with the two of them, and they, jammer got through, they separated, came up to the front, came back together, recycled together. It was really, really well executed.
Furious George does break through. Now lead jammer.
There we go. Phoenix finally out of the pack. Gonna force the call off. A lot of time there. 3 points for Wasatch. Hard earned 3 points. So nice job by Sin City holding up Wasatch's jammer, holding them to only 3 points. Devil's Ivy and Lethal Intention on the line. Looks like empty penalty box, full packs on the track. Ivy and Lethal both going outside first, then inside. Ivy finding a hole first, sneaking around the outside to turn one. Lead jammer for Wasatch. Lethal getting drawn to the back by Colonel Skirts. Wasatch pack set up on the jammer line as Ivy approaches, coming through turn 4. Held up in the pack by Sin City's blockers on her first scoring trip. Whistle going. Oh no, power jam for Wasatch. That is not good.
Not good for Sin City.
No, not good news for Sin City. So Ivy going to work alone for 30 seconds. But honestly, blockers for Sin City doing a really nice job of holding Ivy up there, knocking a lot of seconds off the penalty and off the clock in general. But Colonel Skirts coming through to spring Ivy from their grasp, and she's back around once again for another scoring trip. Although knocked to the outside, recycled by Sin City pivot. Lethal back on the track, coming in really fast into that pack, pushing the pack down the straightaway. But Wasatch now has a pretty solid wall set up, led by Colonel Skirts. The pivot there, they have really slowed Lethal down almost to a stop.
The whole thing's kind of slowed down almost to a stop.
Yeah, Skates and Ladders going to drop back, try to give some offense and spring Ivy, but both sets of blockers doing a really nice job. Star pass now to 435, sticky for Sin City. Ivy's going to shut that one down. Super strong jam by both teams there. Once again, as I've said many times this weekend, amazing work by the blockers on both these teams.
Really good defense there. Roller Bear towing the line up against Helvira. Both jammers pushing, but Roller Bear finds the hole first. Lead jammer, Roller Bear for Wasatch. Roller Bear really pouring on the speed. Sin City cannot keep Roller Bear back.
No, and there was like that gap was closing fast on turn 1 there. Roller Bear just kind of tiptoed through it right before it shut down. It was a pretty amazing pass. Bear back in the pack now, but meeting some resistance. Got Lavender Menace up there trying to help her out, but gets knocked down by 918. That's Bon Jovi from Sin City. Gets dragged all the way back to the jammer line as Sin City's jammer pops out on their initial. So shutting it down, 7-0 jam, 99-0. One more point to breach the triple digits.
hit and roll with the star. For Wasatch, up against Gorticia Adams for Sin City. Hit and roll. Almost finds the opening on the inside. Gets knocked out. He is back to the back of the jam line. Looking for an opening on the inside and finds it. Hit and roll. Lead jammer.
Hit and roll getting some trouble from Countess von Bonebreak there. 2 or 3 hits to the inside. He finally escapes. Hit and roll crashing into the back of the pack, sending some bodies flying there. Everybody back up now. Hit and roll through, 4 more points on the board. Breached the century mark.
Indeed, they have. It's generally a sort of less hard-hitting game than the previous one. This one is much more defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plenty of time for that to change, but another 4 points for hit and roll. 12.
Yeah, very different styles of play between, I'd say, especially Wasatch and Happy Valley. Which is funny because there's so many people who cross over and who have played in both programs for both teams, and all sort of know each other. It's it's different coaching style, different style of play.
And roll calls it off with 16 points at least. Yep, 16 points to that jam for hit and roll in Wasatch. Showing up next, it's Furious George and Phoenix.
Full complement of blockers for both teams. We have Phoenix versus Furious George. George getting a nice piece of offense there from Ultraviolet and lead jammer for Wasatch. George into the pack, out of the pack, calls it off.
4 points for Wasatch. Sin City again blocked out.
Like Sin City coach out on the track with the jam timer. Very likely he'll be calling a timeout, and he does.
Yep.
Team timeout for Sin City. 1 team timeout remaining, plus an official review for the team from Vegas. So, tough spot to be in halfway through, or not quite halfway through a game here. For Sin City, I think it's going to be important for the coaches and the captains to keep spirits up and, see if they can try some unique tactics and turn things around a little bit.
Well, I think it's got to be hard to play 2 games in the same day.
Agreed. Absolutely. I think it's always tough when you have a 2-day tournament. You end up with, a couple of teams end up playing sometimes 3 games in a day.
I don't know how anybody does that.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about it yesterday. The officials, there's a shortage. I mean, there are actually quite a few tournaments happening around the Western United States this weekend in roller derby.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of these refs, especially the skating officials, have been working multiple games in a row. Some of the NSOs are working every game period. So
Yep. Devil's Ivy wearing the star for Wasatch up against Lethal Intention for Sin City. Both jammers working hard. Devil's Ivy does find the opening on the inside. Barely stays inbounds, but does. And lead jammer Devil's Ivy for Wasatch.
Lethal out of the pack for Sin City right as Ivy hits the back of the pack on a scoring trip. Ivy's going to shut it down before Lethal can get there.
Another 4 points for Wasatch.
Looks like he's managed to get all.
Nope, another 3 points for Wasatch.
All right. Correction. 3.
Roller Bear out there jamming for Wasatch. Up against Elvira. Wearing the star for aces. And Roller Bear finds a way on the inside. Lead jammer once again for Wasatch. Roller Bear hits the pack fast. Does a little pirouette and calls it off. Two points for Wasatch. Hit and roll, wearing the star for Wasatch up against Gorticia Adams again for aces. Hit and roll finds that opening on the outside. Lead jammer, hit and roll.
Gore duking it out up there with Colonel Skirts and Skates.
Colonel Skirts heads to the penalty box.
Yeah. Gore managed to get out as a result of that, I think. On Hit and Roll's tail.
Hit and roll calls it off with 4. You can do big jams, or you can just keep doing 4-point jams and calling it off. 4-point jams and calling it off. It's just another way to do it.
You can. And I want to say for those at home and those that if you can't see in the building, we're right here next to Sin City's bench. It is all smiles and laughs, and let's get this done over here on this bench, which is an amazing thing to see.
It really is. You gotta love this game to travel this much.
You do.
Spend your whole weekend doing it.
Phoenix knocking Furious George out of bounds. Jammers knocking each other around now. George getting knocked back by 918. That's Bon Jovi again. It's been a problem for Wasatch's Jammers in this game. Whole pack stopped here just ahead of the pivot line. Just a big scrum. All the blockers locked up. George going to the outside. Eve Hell may have knocked Phoenix out. Looking for a cut. Doesn't get it. Colonel Skirts now has Phoenix stuck. Tripod there led by Bip. That's a rough one. It's Eve Hell, Colonel Skirts, and Bip. They knock Phoenix out of bounds. Bip going to drag her back. George also getting recycled on the outside by 702. That's Malice Afterthought. So once again, blockers really pushing hard in this game, forcing the Jammers to the outside, the inside, locking them up. Phoenix getting knocked down to the outside once again by Eve, now joined at the back by 801 Orange Crusher. Oh, looks like Eve Hell going to the penalty box for something. I'm sure she didn't do it.
Furious George getting recycled yet again.
Yeah, I mean, we've been up here in the 1-2 apex for a solid minute now.
Yeah.
They have not moved much.
Finally, a little bit of movement of the pack, at least. Only 9 seconds left.
Yeah, right as you say that, the whole pack slows down.
Yeah.
Nothing doing. George getting forced to the outside once again.
A full 2-minute jam with no points.
I
no
think
lead.
everybody in that jam was just thrilled that it was over just then. Amazing job by both teams. Shutout jam on both sides. You don't see that too often.
No. Towed up line. Now it's Devil's Ivy up against Elvira. Devil's Ivory getting bounced around on the inside. Oh, and Elvira heads to the penalty box. Power jam for Wasatch and Devil's Ivy. Once again, not great for Sin City.
No, penalties have not, specifically jammer penalties, have not been their friend in this game.
Well, Devil's Ivy calls it off.
So Elvira just stood up in the penalty box, so about 10 seconds left on her penalty, and then back out. About a minute 15 left in the first period here. See who Wasatch is going to field.
The board says Roller Bear.
Roller Bear, there she is. Was up talking to the blockers up front. So 10 seconds of power jam for Bear, or 10 seconds or less. And popping out first, it is going to be Roller Bear, lead jammer for Wasatch. But Elvira out of the penalty box now into the fray. Quick start pass now to Inglorious Basher. George looking for instructions from the bench. Basher about 40 feet or so behind the pack. Pack accelerating down through turn 3 now. George is going to call it off. Another 4-and-out jam for Wasatch. I did not see what the time was when the jam ended, but we may be under 30 seconds. We'll keep an eye on the jam timer, see what he says.
And not another jam. Intermission. Please once again remember to leave the inside bathrooms for the active skaters and officials. There is a bathroom outside if you need to use it. Pretty much your last chance to go check out the vendors. See you back here in about 14.5 minutes.
All right, folks, we are back in 40 seconds to the second half of Wasatch Roller Derby versus Sin City Aces.
And there's the whistle. We've got Devil's Ivy wearing the star for Wasatch, Wormhole jamming for the Aces, and Aces. We have a star pass.
Yep, star pass on the initial. So no lead jammer, which means lead is open.
Devil's Ivy picks up lead.
Yeah, so Devil's Ivy now has control of the jam, but did the trick work? That is the question. No. So close. It was a fantastic idea, fantastic tactic to try to snag a quick point and break the 0 on the scoreboard.
Didn't do it.
Didn't quite make it, but fantastic job by Sin City being creative.
Roller Bear breaks through first, lead jammer for Wasatch. Meanwhile, Lethal Intention working through the pack. Roller Bear calls it off. 4 points picked up for Wasatch. Hit and roll. Wearing the star for Wasatch up against Elvira for Sin City. Elvira gets recycled. Hit and roll gets recycled. The hit and roll breaks out first. Lead jammer hit and roll for Wasatch. Hit and roll pushing through that pack. And hit and roll calls it off. Another 4 for Wasatch. And a timeout called.
It's actually an official review called by Coach Dak from Sin City. Early in the period, we used a review, but just a reminder there is that Dak is also an active referee, an official down in Vegas. He and I worked together on several games in the past. Effin also actually is a former referee. So if he's calling a review this early in the period, it's probably something he feels pretty strongly about.
Yep. Once again, big thank you to all of our officials, our scoreboard keepers, medics, all the people who come out here and make this thing happen. They don't get to be in the spotlight, but they are super important. And a big thank you to Colin Deschatz over here announcing with me.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. Always enjoy it. Yeah, speaking of, you were just talking about our volunteers. I'm watching Cam, who's Colonel Skirts' partner, carrying around a chair for somebody. He's been doing security all weekend long, helping out. So concessions people, ticket takers, security, track maintenance, all of it.
I don't think I've ever thought to thank the security, but yeah, thanks security. And yeah, ticket takers, all those folks.
So coaches are Wasatch's coaches return to the bench. He's coming over here to tell the other coaches what's going on. Referee's going to have a little conversation in the middle of the track, see what they've got to say.
Once again, big thank you to our sponsors, Pie Pizzeria, best pie in Utah. And of course, Big Willie's, official after party location. And Aspen, I don't have my document here. I can't remember what they're called.
Aspen Press and Packaging.
Press
right
and
here.
Packaging.
They did all the bout flyers for this game. Thanks a lot to them.
I know it wasn't print and packaging, but it was something.
Yep.
Big thank you to our sponsors. We really appreciate all of your help and support making roller derby happen in Utah here.
All right, so Coach Dak looking for a contact with the down skater penalty against hit and roll in the prior jam. I think I saw the action that he was talking about. I was obviously at a bad angle, but it was right in front of him, so he likely had a pretty good view of it. Referees didn't have enough information to overturn the call as it stood, so Dak's going to lose his review for the period, which is unfortunate. It leaves him with only one timeout for the game remaining. Which is a tough thing as a coach when you need to give skaters a break a little bit. Meantime, we have Furious George versus Gorticia Adams, and right as we were saying that, Furious George breaking out first on the outside, lead jammer for Wasatch. Gore getting knocked to the inside, recycled the back and to play a little bit of defense against George. Doing a nice job of it too, knocks George to the inside, dragging her back. So I figure I've always thought that in a situation like this, the opposing jammer playing a little bit of defense was never a bad idea, and it's working out right now to Sin City's advantage.
And Furious George calls off the jam. Two points for Wasatch. Devil's Ivy now wearing the star for Wasatch up against Phoenix.
Coach Effin having a few words with the jammer referees out there on the track.
Devil's Ivy gets knocked out by 227.
It's nitroglycerin.
Nitroglycerin.
Yeah, they've got some good names on Sin City.
Yeah. Devil's Ivy finds the opening on the outside. And lead jammer, Devil's Ivy for Wasatch.
Yep, Ivy coming into the pack back here just outside turn 4. Phoenix just stuck behind that wall from Wasatch. Bip kills Orange and UV all together. It was a rough one, and Ivy gets through, grabs 2 points, gets knocked out of bounds, calls the jam.
Roller Bear up against Elvira now. Roller Bear finds quite a bit of opposition. The Sin City defense getting recycled all the way back to the jam line.
Yeah, nice job there by Sin City getting Bear out and drawing it all the way back. There it is.
Sin City.
Lead jammer, Sin City, Elvira, Roller Bear hot on her heels, but
everybody making a whole lot of noise for Elvira. Big grin on her face.
It's the most noise I've heard out of this room all weekend long, and well-deserved it is. Elvira getting knocked to the outside by Shirley Temper, got a little bit of help from Rails, and Skates and ladders as well. Colonel Skirts out here also. Roller. Gonna call it off. 1 point. The most celebrated 1 point thus far in Sin City's history.
Sin City is on their feet, jumping up and down. They are so excited. It's so amazing to see this. Well-deserved point, too.
Absolutely. All right, 5 seconds has been called.
Gorticia Adams wearing the star for Sin City up against Hit and Roll, jamming for Wasatch.
Wasatch did manage to pick up 4 points in the last jam as well. Hit and Roll, pushing his way through, inside to outside. He's lead jammer, but Gorticia Adams also out of the pack.
He calls off the jam.
Yep. Coach Effin playing very conservative here. And have his jammers call it off, not take any risks.
Phoenix up against Furious George.
Pretty big tangle up here on the pivot line. Both jammers going side to side. Furious George going on the outside, looking for a little help from Colonel Skirts. Gets it. Slung around. Lead jammer, Furious George. Phoenix still stuck in the pack in turn 2, getting knocked around a little bit. Colonel Skirts getting knocked to the inside herself and having to recycle to the back, which actually worked out to her advantage. Be there to give George. No. All right. Power jam for Sin City. Furious George going to the penalty box. Back block, says the jammer referee. So, Phoenix with an opportunity to put a few more points on the board for Sin City. Got to escape from Krasnak and Colonel Skirts at this point. Stuck behind that 2-wall. 1 to beat now. Coming out of turn 4. Manages to do it. There it is. Full 4 for Sin City. Bringing their score to 5 points. And Phoenix around again to meet up with Rails and Skates. Skates goes down. Rails the only one left. Got Krasnak next in line. Skates going to move up with Krasnak. Try to double team. And Furious George out of the penalty box. Awfully close to the front of the pack. Very dangerous, but back in on a scoring trip.
Phoenix once again tangling with Colonel Skirts and Krasnak.
Problem is when the pack gets that tight, your own jammer gets caught up, and that's exactly what just happened to George. So George almost getting sent out of bounds. Sin City blocker goes out of play. George was on a scoring trip before going to the penalty box, so 4 points on the board for Wasatch, matching the 4 from Sin City. Phoenix still stuck in the pack. George threw one more time. Phoenix coming out, so we're going to go 8-8 even numbers on that jam for Wasatch and Sin City. 161 to 9. Just a bit over 20 minutes left in the game.
Elvira towing up next to Devil's Ivy.
Sin City is short one blocker to the penalty box. Ivy going to take advantage of that. Through first on the inside of turn 2. Lead jammer. Elvira still with the star. Attempted a star pass, but then pulled it back. Getting recycled down the inside while Ivy fighting her way through up the inside. Going to call it off after 4. 165 to 9.
Roller Bear up against Gorticia Adams on the jam line.
Gortisha Adams up the outside. Manages to stay inbounds. Goes to the inside. Lead jammer for Sin City. But Roller Bear out and catching up on the outside. Both jammers going to hit the pack just outside of turn 2. Gore going to go to the inside. Try for the call off. I don't think Gortisha Adams got it soon enough. Oh, no, she did. Managed to get the 1 point, but Roller Bear also threw for 4. At this point, every point is a win for Sin City. 169-10 the score, 18:35 remaining in the game.
Hit and roll jamming for Wasatch. Phoenix wearing the star for Sin City.
Gore and Phoenix both getting some shout outs from the folks on the live stream. Meanwhile, hit and roll out first. Lead jammer for Wasatch. Phoenix getting recycled on the inside by Ultraviolet, meeting up with the entire pack of Wasatch blockers there. That's Bip, Evel, and Orange Crusher. UV going up to hold the bridge to keep the pack together. Whistles going up front. Multiplayer block. Penalty going to Sin City. 789. That's Countess von Bonebreak. Hit and roll through. 4 points. Calls it off as instructed from the bench. 4 and out.
Furious George again towing the line up against Elvira.
Blockers all set up on the pivot line, giving both jammers a good bit of runway, well, 30 feet to be exact. Neither one really, getting much out of that extra space. Ran into the back of the wall. Both jammers have been recycled at least once. George on the second recycle now. Elvira just coming back at it, meeting up with a whole bunch of Wasatch blockers at the back.
Pack starting to fall apart, and Furious George does get around. Lead jammer, Furious George.
Countess von Bonebreak out of the penalty box now. Full packs for both teams. Elvira with the helmet cover in the hand, getting knocked to the inside and then to the out again. I think looking for a little help.
Furious George doing a little pirouette there on the inside and calls off the jam.
Yeah, just swings through the pack. Sin City calling for one more blocker from their bench. Full complement for both teams. Penalty box is empty. It's Devil's Ivy versus Gortisha Adams.
Wasatch doing some real serious looking blocking there. It's Devil's Ivy breaks through on the outside. The lead jammer, Devil's Ivy for Wasatch.
But Gortisha Adams out also. Half a track behind. Ivy in the pack now on a scoring trip. Gets knocked to the infield, calls off the jam before Gore can get there. Only picking up 3 on that one for Ivy. That's going to bring us to 180-10.
Roller Bear up against Phoenix on the jam line. Full blocking complement from both teams. Roller Bear looking for some assistance from Colonel Skirts.
Man, big hit from Phoenix to Shirley Temper. Shirley Temper going down hard. Wasn't expecting that based on the look on her face, but it's lead jammer for Phoenix and Sin City. Roller Bear still stuck in the pack over in turn 2, getting knocked out of bounds and recycled a short distance. Going to escape that and get through, but not before Phoenix is in the pack. Did get recycled behind skates, but going to keep going, swing the hips around, call it off. What do we got?
like at least 1, 2,
3.
3. 3 points for Sin City. Lucky 13. Hit and roll up against Wormhole. A couple of double high fives between the two jammers.
Colonel Skirt's chilling in the penalty box, probably less than 10 seconds, based on the fact that she's on her skates. Star cover is already off for Sin City, and it's Wormhole through the inside, out first but not lead. Hit and roll. Lead jammer getting the instruction from the bench to shut it down. Sin City successfully gaining control of that jam, stopping Wasatch from putting any more points on the board.
Effin noticing a wardrobe problem for the opposing jammer, going out and letting her know. Because safety is important.
It is. Furious George on 1 foot. Hop, hop, hop up the inside line. Lead jammer for Wasatch. Elvira finding a hole, but nope. That hole quickly closed by Colonel Skirts. Wasatch blockers flowing up to catch her.
Ruler calls off the jam from the floor.
Yep. 2 points picked up by Wasatch and a quick call off to shut it down. 12.5 minutes remaining in the game.
Devil's Ivy up against Cortisha Adams. Devil's Ivy finding an opening right off of the jam line. Lead jammer, Devil's Ivy.
Yeah,
For
that
Wasatch.
that opening coming courtesy of Eve Hell. Nice little, and again, and Wasatch was doing that all game actually. Not these huge, swoopy, big offensive movements, just little positional blocks, making just enough room for the jammer to get through. It's been
Just
really
did it
nice,
again.
actually.
On the inside there.
Yeah, exactly. It's been really nice.
4 points for Wasatch there. Ruler Bear back out on the line for Wasatch. Aces are costing a team timeout.
It's going to be their last clock stoppage of the game. 11 minutes remaining. Coach Dak just wants to give them a little extra time to rest. Been a
Catch their
long
breath.
weekend for them. Just looking at the back of Coach Effen's vest here, he's got big RollerCon patch on there from 2010. There's a couple of Spudtown patches on there.
Wow.
A lot of Derby experience in that coach there. He's been a great asset for Wasatch in a number of ways over the years.
Ruler Bear like towed up next to Nitroglycerin. Glistenin. It's hard to say. First time we've seen Nitro actually starting as jammer.
Yeah, I think it's
Nitro's taken the star a couple of times.
and Nitro's got lead jammer.
Lead jammer, Nitroglycerin.
All right, Sin City losing a blocker. Wasatch going to move the pack up into turn 3, kind of trying to speed things up a little bit. Nitro into the pack, calling it off before Bear can get there.
Wasatch did get 1 point, 3 points for Sin City.
But 3 points, nitroglycerin.
Oh, Wasatch got 2 points. Hit and roll. Toe on the line next to Helvira.
The fans on the live stream are loving Jammer Nitro. It was a great jam. Great work. Hit and roll, going to take lead for Wasatch in this one. Helvira caught up, but just finds a hole around Eve Hell on the inside of turn 1, out of the pack on a scoring trip. Hit and roll, wait for the instruction from the bench. Penalty box just almost emptied out. Effin trying to hold off until Rails gets out of the box. Rails signaling 3 seconds left on the penalty, so won't be too long before Wasatch gets back a full complement of blockers.
Less than 10 minutes left in this game. Furious George wearing the star, going up against Gorticia Adams. George does make it through first. Lead Jammer. Gorticia right behind. Furious George calls it off.
Yeah, Gore managed to sneak past Shirley Temper up there in turn 2. Forced the call off.
Devil's Ivy toeing the line. Along with Phoenix. Devil's Ivy jukes and jives right around. Lead Jammer, Devil's Ivy.
Combo shot the back here from Ultraviolet and Orange Crusher, sending Phoenix to the infield. Phoenix now stuck, but trying for the star pass, gets it, but not before Ivy already through the pack. 4 more points and a call off. Was a successful star pass off to Sticky Fingers, but jam called off moments later.
Roller Bear wearing the star for Wasatch up against Helvira, jamming for aces.
Helvira 1-2 to beat now with a little help from Shirley Temper. It's Colonel Skirts up there. No, it's going to be Roller Bear sneaking up the inside. Lead Jammer Wasatch once again. Whistles going, got penalty. No, it's Helvira headed to the penalty box. So Wasatch on a power jam now. Let's see what Coach Effin does with this. Bear getting recycled back into turn 2. Pack rolling back to meet that a little bit. Bear finding some room on the inside from Colonel Skirts. Effin's going to have to call it off. So that's going to stick Helvira in the penalty box. Still seated, so I'm guessing somewhere around 15, 20 seconds left on the penalty there for Helvira. Hit and roll the next jammer on the lineup for Wasatch. Full complement of blockers for both teams. So it'll be interesting to see if hit and roll comes out, if they stick to the tactics they've been using throughout this half. If hit and roll comes out, gets lead fast, gets around, and gets a score before Helvira gets out, Effin may freeze Helvira in the box one more time, if he has time. But Sin City doing a fabulous job on a penalty kill. Helvira is on her feet. Hit and roll being recycled all the way to the back. Gets broken out by some of his blockers. Sneaks out on the outside of turn 2. Lead jammer for Wasatch, but Helvira is out of the penalty box. Star pass. Yes, star pass to Gore, I believe. Yes, it is. And hit and roll getting knocked to the inside as he hits the pack. How many points? Looks like 3, and that's going to put Wasatch over 200.
Towing up now, it's Furious George and Phoenix. Timeout called, official.
Oh, bad news for Hit and Roll. Late penalty coming from the Zebra crew there. Hit and Roll going to go to the penalty box for cutting the track. So that means Phoenix gets the track to herself for 30 seconds.
Well, along with a whole bunch of blockers.
Well, just don't have to worry about anybody else scoring points against you.
Well, true.
All of Vegas set up on the inside, trying to pinch Wasatch up, make some room for Phoenix to get through. Phoenix got one to beat. That's Colonel Skirts.
That's a tough one to beat.
Yep. Now Shirley Temper joining up in the front, but Phoenix breaks them apart. Lead jammer for Sin City. Hit and Roll on his feet in the penalty box. Phoenix into the pack down here in turn 3. Hit and Roll out of the box, coming around the track very fast. Hit and Roll jumping through the pack into his own jammer's tripod. Nice reaction, actually, by the Wasatch blockers to open up and let him through. It's like they've done that before.
Impressive skating there by both teams.
Yes, absolutely.
But Aces did pick up 4 points that time, bringing it up to 20 points for Sin City. Furious George wearing the star for Wasatch. Elvira jamming for Sin City, and Furious George breaks through first really fast. Lead jammer, Furious George for Wasatch.
Looks like Star Pass once again. I think that's Sticky Fingers. Yep, it is.
And Furious George calls it off furiously with 4 points. Devil's Ivy wearing the star for Wasatch. Cortisha Adams jamming for Aces.
Gore taking a tumble back here on the jammer line. I think Ivy actually knocked her down. Gore back up on her feet. Ivy up the outside, turn 1, getting the nod from the outside pack ref. Lead jammer for Devil's Ivy.
Cortisha getting recycled again.
Pack pretty split up here. Colonel Skirts trying to hold down the bridge in the middle. Of course, it collapses as soon as I say that. Cortisha Adams getting knocked to the outside. Recycled back just ahead of the jammer line. Ivy not having a great time getting through this line either. It's been kind of stuck up there by the pivot line for a little bit. Colonel Skirts in there trying to give some offense, trying to free Ivy up. About a minute in the jam here, only on the second trip through. So first scoring trip, 4 points finally for Devil's Ivy. Gonna call it off though. Nice work by Sin City holding up Ivy for that long.
Good work by Colonel Skirts making that hole for Ivy to get through.
Indeed.
Phoenix towed up with Roller Bear. Couple minutes left.
It hits Phoenix, finding a hole up the inside line on the straightaway. Lead jammer, Sin City. Roller Bear still hung up in the pack as Phoenix comes crashing into the back of the Wasatch wall there in turn 1. Bear finally out at the exit of turn 2. Phoenix tangled up in the pack, running outside, going to call it off. Let's see what we got. One hard-earned point, going to make it 2-11 to 21. 1 minute 5 remaining in the game.
Time for maybe a couple more jams. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hit and roll. Towing up with Helvira.
Hit and roll, get knocked down. Got a little bit of help from Colonel. Back up on his feet, out quickly. Lead jammer for Wasatch.
Sometimes people try to keep him back, just bounce him forward, and that's what happened there, it looked like. Hit and roll, living up to his name. Hitting and rolling. Calls off the jam. 19 seconds left on the clock.
So unless Effin calls a timeout right now, which he's not gonna, there won't be another jam. We're under 30 seconds at the end. So
Yep.
barring other strange things that I could not foresee.
And that is the game unofficial score on the clock. We'll wait for the official call.
And cheers all around for both teams on a game well played. Props to Sin City for sticking with it for the entirety of that game, managing to put up 21 hard-earned points against the home team, Wasatch Roller Derby. Congratulations to Wasatch and the coaches on a win. And thanks once again to all of our officials, our volunteers, everybody who made this event possible over the weekend. Thanks again for having me, Lulu. A pleasure as always.
Always a joy, Colin.
And I will probably see some of you at the after party at Willie's. If not, I bid you a good night, and I'm out of here.
For Roller Derby, I'm Lulu Guru. Good night.